guys, welcome back to Infinite Possibilities, the podcast where we explore the lives of amazing people, their choices, challenges and opportunities. And today I have a very special guest, Liang.
Hey guys.
Thank you so much for being here, Kin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's pretty impromptu, but
Yeah, we decided this 1.5 hours before this actual recording session, so thank you for being down.
yeah, all good, all good. Seems like an interesting podcast, so yeah, honored to join. I've seen a lot of pretty big influential people on this podcast. So,
and
yeah.
Kin's soon to be influential, right?
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. So Kin, what do you do? What's your job?
So right now I am with Kpmg, working in the technology space as a consultant, and I've been here for a year and a bit now. So I was doing this while I was still studying my double degree in business and IT. And right now in my actual final week, transitioning to a different company, so a lot of changes happening at the moment.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. A very interesting transition kind of period.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe a bit of a tiring one as well.
I wouldn't say tiring. I think I'm keen for it, but just a lot happening all at once.
Yeah.
But just approaching it with an open mind and just willingness to learn and fail, because if things go well, perfect. If things doesn't go well, it's just a learning opportunity. That's how I see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful mindset. So we really want to go right from the beginning and see what kind of child you were like growing up. So yeah, what was childhood like for you, Kin?
It's a loaded question. So I grew up in China, and I think from childhood my family wasn't the most well off. We were decent in China, but I think our family came to Australia when I was 8, so we were technically immigrants.
Yeah.
So, and then being from an immigrant family, there was a lot of struggles, especially financially. I think, but as a child, I always liked to be very active. Or I think I wasn't very gifted academically, but I did try. But I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And what kind of sports did you like?
I did a lot, especially during primary school. I did track. I did track and field. Played basketball. Played a lot of basketball, soccer, cricket, touch. Just whatever's under the sun, and I just like being active. I think that's what I was always into. It helps that I was tall, and
yeah, for sure. Basketball, go Kin, dunk.
Yeah, not that great anymore, but so I couldn't dunk.
Yeah.
Didn't have the hops, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And tell me more about academics. So you said you weren't that academically gifted, so, but as the classic Asian, were you good at maths?
I would say I was decent. I think because my brother kind of beat me in just to learn all the algebra and stuff like that early on. So, but there was an expectation just because my brother set the benchmark quite high. He was kind of the model student. He had like scholarships to uni, and he just like first class honors. And yeah, I think he really set that bar high. But I think my parents was just so busy, so I just kind of was able to get away with quite a lot of things. So
yeah, sounds good. So so just you and your brother. Do you have any other siblings?
Yes. So my dad remarried. So I actually got 2 younger siblings. One is 7. His name's Lee, and I got a little sister as well, who's she's 2.
Oh really?
Yeah, so quite young.
Quite
so,
young.
Yeah.
Big age gap. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And so was there a lot of pressure, like seeing your brother, be that model student? Was it sort of like living in the shadow?
I think it's hard to say. Maybe a bit, but I think over the years, you tend to start have a longer term view of the world, just because he kind of paved the way for a lot of things. So my brother's actually 9 years older than me.
Yeah, oh, that's
And
actually quite big.
that's quite a big difference, and he's always been kind of more involved in my life, just a lot of academics and stuff like that. And I think he's kind of shaped into who I am because I was able to think like, because we got into my engineering,
Yeah.
and my first year of uni I actually went to engineering because I was decent at maths, I was pretty decent at physics, so I was like, that's the natural way. And I didn't give it much thought as well. And then when I studied engineering for 1 year and I looked at him and his friends, I was like, is that what I want to do for the rest of my life? And he transitioned out as well. My brother, he worked as a mine engineer, fly out, and he went into it during the boom. And when the industry went downhill, he got a redundancy package. So from there, he kind of had to repivot his career, reevaluate what does he want to do. And from there, he would start discovering like what his interest was, which was more towards coffee and connection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Completely different.
completely different. So and then he pursued his own business. So he started opening his own cafe, and on the side he was doing a lot of those workshops just to connect a lot of like-minded people. And I was in the forefront of those. So I was very involved in the business and other stages, creation, managing, and just coming up with ideas how to grow it. And I was also attending those workshops, and these workshops, I was still quite young, so early stages, first year uni, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you get to engage with people who's maybe mid-stage of their career or around early 30s, who's probably reevaluating their life choices, like their career direction.
Yeah, midlife crisis. Hello.
Yeah, in a sense, because most people typically don't think that long term. They typically like, oh, like for the next couple of years or probably next year. Most people don't even know what they want for like for dinner next day. So so they're learning their career. But I think having those conversations with people in 10 years later, you're reevaluating, is this career the right move for me? Is this what I want to do? And a lot of people want to find something different. So maybe maybe it's a side hustle, maybe it's a another business, or maybe it's another career transition. But for me, I kind of want to eliminate that trial by error. I'd rather learn by other people's mistakes. So
yeah, I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, so I started evaluating my own career. I was like, okay, what is it that I want? Do I want to be an engineer? Maybe I can see myself working a couple of years, but I don't see myself long term. I'm not interested in it. I can do the work, but it's not something I can go day in, day out. So I actually dropped out in engineering, and I was pursuing a digital marketing business. I was in it for the wrong reasons, but it was definitely.
Tell me more. Quick cash.
It was a way, yes. I would say not quick, but it was a way for me to like build a kind of business. I kind of was looking for other options other than uni, and I was sold by like a lot of courses and stuff like that.
Young and impressionable. Hello.
Yeah, but the thing is that got me into business, and that got me into self-development, and I learned, even though it didn't gain traction, but I learned a lot about just trying to hustle, just the basics of business and how to get things running. So I do respect a lot of people who has that like entrepreneurial spirit. But yeah, that didn't kick off, but I learned a lot, and I realized I was interested in business. So my brother convinced me to study business while paired up with IT, just because no matter where you go, IT is always going to be around, right? Like IT and business.
It's like a safety net.
Yeah.
It's like a double hit combo. Businesses need IT always.
Yeah, like no matter, like as more time passes, like IT is more prevalent no matter where you go. So that, and I went to that, went to QG and studied that.
Yeah, and how did you enjoy the degree? Was it sort of like, everyone has like an expectations versus reality, so.
I wasn't actually too focused on uni because I was always working part-time. So I was managing the cafe, and I was working at a jewelry store, and I was always doing stuff. So for me, uni was just like a way. I just go through like required tutorials, and I just do the
One
necessary.
of those people.
Yeah, so I
Go to lectures,
yeah.
go home.
Not even lectures sometimes. So yeah, so I wasn't very proud of. So I was not very involved in the uni life.
Yeah.
But that's when I went on exchange, and I finally became a uni student.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And how did you decide that you wanted to like work part-time throughout uni? Like I personally just, I don't know, I joined like every UQ extracurricular activity, but I personally didn't really work that much in that time, so very broke. But how was it just like, I want to make some cash, or like I want something to balance out the studying? Because I know like probably from like year 1 to year 12, like all we ever did was just like study.
Yeah. I think that comes down to my family values and where my family was. So I actually started working really young. I probably started when I was in grade 8, and it was a dishwasher that my brother used to work at.
Yeah.
So after school, I would finish school around 3, and I'll rock up to this old Greek family seafood place, and I'll just rock up, clean up the entire store, and I was paid like $9-10 an hour, and I was
relatable.
Yeah, and I was doing that for a long time, and then and that continued towards like my whole journey throughout high school and uni. So I was always working. I don't think I was ever not working part-time.
Yeah.
So because I think for me, I wanted to be I didn't want to rely on my parents because self-sufficient. I didn't want to pressure them. They all have enough like pressure and stress. So for me, I do what I can to help out, which it was to kind of provide for myself wherever I can. So yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool, and that's a pretty sort of interesting like turning point to explore. So like when you were in grade 8, were you just like, you know, just following your brother's footsteps and following what he did, or was it something like you could see that your family was struggling, or were they like, hey, maybe, you know, you have some time after 3 p.m. maybe you could. How did that sort of like happen? Like,
oh, I'm not sure.
It was also a long time ago, so
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it's more so everyone in the family just worked, like hustled. Like my brother was doing the same. When he was younger as well, he did what he can to help the family, and I felt it was something I needed to do as well, because I think that was something that
yeah, it's sort of like ingrained in your family, and then you just sort of like follow your brother in many respects.
Yeah, I think it just felt normal, just because the values of everyone around me are just
Yeah. So tell me, what did you do with that $9 per hour? Was it all?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I buy a bit of food and it's gone. I was like, oh god damn it! But I paid for a go card, so I don't have to,
Proud.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know where the money went. It's that $9.
$9 gone, never can come back.
Yeah, it was all gone to food. I swear to God. The amount of money I spent on food, it was
Wow, that's a good life. Yeah, and I imagine your peers were very different to you, right? They didn't pick up many part-time jobs when they were that young?
No, I don't think many people. There was a couple people that did, but not many, especially in my high school, because the high school I went to was quite academic.
Yeah.
So
QA, hello.
No, I was struggling there. I was bottom of the barrel. To be honest.
I understand. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think many people were, because QA was quite strenuous. It did
burn you out.
Yeah, I would say. Just because I do tend to have poor time management back then. So it was just a struggle as well with the workload and the pressure and all that. So it was a good experience, but I wouldn't say at the time.
Do it again.
Yeah, I don't think at the time I was enjoying it that much.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you ever think that if I didn't go to QA, your life would have been a bit better? Because I know some people, they were performing pretty well at their high school, and then when it comes grade 10 or something, they take the test and they go to QA, and then life, like, they might have been like top of the barrel, and then when they go to QA, they're like bottom. So I'm like, you might have just been better off, you know, where you were before.
I wouldn't, maybe, but I would say maybe not, because I wasn't actually enjoying the school I was in before was McGrath State High.
Oh, nice.
Nothing prestigious. It's just a public state school. The reason I went there was my brother went there back then. But back then it was still a decent school. But I kind of, by the time I went, it was kind of went downhill. So
that's when you have that 9-year age gap, you know.
Yeah,
you just can't predict the trend of the future.
But he set the pathway. He turned out alright. So my parents were like, oh, I think he'll be alright if he went there.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't like. At one point, I think early, I did pretty well, I would say, but
yeah,
it was I didn't enjoy it. I think that it was more towards the people. Everyone was very rowdy. Everyone was just didn't want to pay attention, and no one was wanting to learn. I was like, I wasn't enjoying school. That's why I was like keen to go QA. Everyone's like very switched on. Everyone's bright. I just feel dumb there. But it was good. That kind of forces you to grow. That forces you to push your kind of limits and see what you're capable of. Even though like I struggled a lot, it was a good learning experience, and and then I made, and a lot of people that you meet there, they tend to accomplish like big things. Everyone's really switched on. Like,
damn, that's a lot of pressure to be in that sort of environment. But it also is kind of good because it sort of rubs off on you a little bit.
Yeah, I think so, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And tell me more about, so if you were to sort of go back in time and tell your younger self like some sort of advice to get through high school, what would you sort of tell them?
Be patient.
That's a good one.
Be patient.
How would you sort of manage your time better?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because you like just work a lot, and like, how does?
No, I was also like playing a lot of games, so I don't think working was the biggest factor.
Nice.
But I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. Maybe build appreciate those around you a bit more, especially friends and people as such. Because back then and still like I have a lot of good people around me, but I don't think I fully appreciated them at that point in time as much as I should have. So
yeah, but I don't know. You were very stressed at that time, so I feel like.
Yeah,
you're like drowning, man. Like how, like you know, you're like, wow, you know, the scenery looks good, but I gotta get myself out of this ditch.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time, but yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you know, QA not so good. You wanted to get out of there. You graduated, and then so what was your? How did you sort of like feel about uni? Were you like excited to go more studying or?
Yeah, uni was an interesting journey for me as well, just because I did 1 year of engineering, kind of just dropped out, took 6 months to like a year before I started my double degree, and then it's supposed to took 4 years for a double degree, but then I went to exchange and then COVID hit, and that kind of delayed that process, so it took another half a year. So it was definitely like a journey. But uni was definitely a bit more interesting because I was studying things I was probably a bit more interested in. But there was a lot of filler units that I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Like, do we really need to learn? I'm not really paying this money to be doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, especially when you appreciate the value of money so much and then you see your school fees. And
yeah, I haven't looked at my hikes, so I'm trying to ignore that right now. So it's good that we have a good system here, but it doesn't help. Like, I don't want to look at that number right now. So,
yeah, fair enough. Do you have any advice for people going to uni? Any chance? It's like very sort of different environments. Did you have a preference? Were you like, oh, uni life was better than high school life, or?
I would say make the most of uni. I for sure didn't, and but just meet people. I think that uni is a really good opportunity for you to learn who you are and what you like and explore your interests and yeah, I think that's a really, because I think uni is not more about what you learn. It's like the people you tend to like network with and and find, I guess, like-minded people. If there's interest or like area that you want to like pursue, I think uni is a good little hub to build that. I think I definitely didn't capitalize on it, but also like QT didn't have that sort of environment, uni life environment, because I do notice that UQ had a bit more uni. So,
okay,
but I didn't like UQ, you know.
Wow,
yeah.
you're lost kin.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too sure. Like I'll be the worst person to ask for uni advice, to be honest, because I was so glad when I was uni was done. I was like, and actually felt easy just because like I was balanced between work and then coming home to do tutorials and assignments. I was like, nah, this is not it. But yeah.
Damn. And you said when you say like you didn't really capitalize on uni, so I guess like one is like you worked a lot, so would you have like in retrospect worked a bit less and then so you can have a bit more energy and time to rest and enjoy uni, or would you have still worked that much?
I think that work wasn't out by choice as well sometimes, because my brother opened another cafe and I think a lot of times I was, I guess, full. I wouldn't say like, I just have to like help out. Like,
and it's family, so.
It's family. The hardest thing with any business, I would say, especially small businesses, even now, like, it's finding good staff and managing people. I think that's the biggest thing. No matter what you do, is a huge struggle, and I learned that working at the cafe, just because we tend to do a lot of like hires for all-rounders and such, and after hire people, after coach people, after train people, after make sure it would delegate, and it's hard finding the right people who's willing to put the same amount of energy that you have, because they're not in it as much, and for them, some people just want to go there, collect their pay, and off you go, where some people will want to put that extra effort, even if it's probably not expected, but they still want to, just because they want to, and just being able to like differentiate and find those people, I think is a skill set. That's why, but also creating an environment where those people want to come to work. I think that's another thing. So something that I'm going to take away to like if once I do become like in more senior positions, is being conscious of how to actually create that culture where people want to come to work, people feel heard, people feel they can be themselves and then bring their best self to work. Because I truly believe that if you create that environment, people tend to thrive and tend to stay longer.
And it's like a win-win for everyone.
That's what you're trying to do, because if you tend to ignore the problem or not confront it, it will fester and it will continue to build, and people either drag the performance comes down, or people just don't show up, or just find someone else. So
that's so true. That energy is like sort of like a compounding factor, right? If you have bad energy, it just goes like worse and worse and worse. But if it's good, it just multiplies at like an exponential rate or something.
And it feeds into other areas of the team as well. So I think it's interesting after working in industry and after working in so many different jobs over the years. So,
that's cool. And so if you were going to interview someone for the cafe that you were working at, so how would you be able to sort of tell? Is it sort of like their personality, or?
I would say it's more how they carry themselves. I think it's more by their body language and how they interact with you. But I still haven't got it down pat.
The intangibles are always so hard to articulate.
Definitely is, because maybe this person is a really good barista, but the thing is, this person doesn't have the willingness to help out,
Yeah.
be willing
Not
to
a team
learn.
player.
Yeah,
Bad
and
attitude.
yeah, bad attitude, and just little things here and there like tend to show like, okay, this person's not really in it.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes, yeah, it's like they have all the qualifications, but if they don't have that cultural fit, then it, like it's just everything's
yeah, that's why a lot of places when they do hire, they hire based on cultural fit and like the soft skills or like the values, because they, well, hopefully they do realize that they can teach someone the hard, like the technicals, but they can't teach someone
the softer skills.
Yeah, the softer skills, because I think that will make break a team. Or like,
Yeah, for sure. Nice. Also want to talk more about the early stages of like, you know, running a cafe, because I know a lot of people and a lot of friends are like, oh damn, you know, if I won the lottery, I might want to like, you know, open my own small business, have a little cafe, and they have like a very romantic view. So give them the lowdown. What were the early days like? Like,
oh, I wouldn't recommend it. The cafe business is not something I would ever want to do. It was my brother's interest, and I always just happened to help out with it. But expectation, it's one of those like expectation versus reality. You expect like, oh, it's all sunshine and rosy. You just make coffee, say hi to your customers and stuff like that. But in reality, it's long hours, it's stressful, it's uncertain. You gotta be pretty much know how to do everything. You pretty much need to know how to do your manage supplies, customers, sales, barista, technical, hiring, HR, marketing, your own tax, manage supplies, logistics. It's like all these skills all combined, and the thing is with a business, once there's no like normal 9 to 5 and you clock off. In the morning you have to go in early to prep, and especially cafes, you start early, and then once you finish, you typically finish a lot later than in closing time, because it is a small family business. And after that you still need to go through like buy whatever groceries or like I guess produces that you still need to grab for the next day as well. So you typically spend like 12-14 hour days easily, if you add it all up for. And you have to do it. If you don't have staff, sometimes you have to cop it. So if you open 7 days a week and you have no staff for those 7 days, you're working 7 days. Like, I think that's the reality. I think it makes it easier because my brother had us as family. But it's hard, and small business. Yeah, it is a tough industry, and that's why for me, I know I don't want to get into it. For me,
it's just too much work, man.
Unless someone's passionate about it, like.
But passion dies. Yeah, I was kind of curious to know, like, I don't know. I guess you're probably a coffee lover like your brother.
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
I'm good at making coffee. I got into it because of my brother, but I don't think I would like spend a lot of my own money to buy coffee. And also like my coffee outside is like pretty inconsistent. So it's too much money to spend on coffee every day. So that's why I'm happy with the
level 90
coffee Kpmg.
But not hot chocolate. Cough.
It's a bit too strong in my opinion.
And kind of curious about what was your brother's take, you know, like he had this romantic maybe idea about coffee, and like is he still as much into coffee as he was at the beginning? Because when you sort of monetize what you love, and then when you add all those pressures out, you know, staffing problems, and it sort of like kind of can ruin your passion.
So I think my brother right now is in a transitional period as well. So there was a lot of complications along the way, and right now he's actually phasing out of running a cafe business, because I think it's hard, because he's in a stage of life where he's trying to start a family and stuff like that, and running a small business is tough. Like you're not able to, like for us in a professional service setting, you can work remotely and then still like have time for your family stuff like that. But when you work at a small business, you don't. It's harder to create those opportunities, to like pick up your kids or like make breakfast for them, because unless you can create a good system where a manager runs it all, but there's always room for error. Yeah. So he's right now in another transitional period. He's still figuring out where he wants to get into, and now he kind of sees like data analytics as something he's kind of interested in, something he's potentially good in, because he has that strong analytical like maths engineering background. So
that's cool. Yeah, but that's pretty amazing, because I think a lot of people, they sort of like live many lives in one. They have like they do XYZ for like 10 years, and then they do something else for like another 10 years or 5 years. Completely like different identity, and like sometimes completely like flip the switch, like 360 different. So yeah, that's cool. And so tell me about like, you've sort of like managed that small cafe, worked in a jewelry store. Any other jobs you want to talk about before we talk about Kpmg Tech Advisory?
They're all famous one. I did door-to-door sales.
How's that? I'm interested in that. That's
good.
rough, man.
It was. A little bit of me, like I was very introverted as a kid. For like me, I couldn't talk to strangers. Like I get so nervous.
And here you are doing a podcast. Things change.
I actually like these kind of interactions. It was more so that door-to-door sales. I was just looking for jobs, and when I first graduated high school, and then and I saw opportunity to like, they advertised it so nicely, like, the sky's the limit, but it was a commission only, like door-to-door sales, and because I have no experience, I was like, I'll just take it. And I was so nervous on my first day, because I realized you have to knock on random strangers' houses to sell this car product, and I was like, you knock on strangers' houses and try to sell them stuff and talk to people. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And it was during summertime as well, and you have to wear like these kind of outfits to walk in the heat.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like in the beginning, because it's commission only, if you don't sell anything, you don't earn anything that day.
Yeah.
And because I was like so bad at the beginning, I for a lot of days I didn't get paid just to do those long hours. But yeah, when I remember like when I first had that first sale, my hand was just shaking, because like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. And how long did it take for you to get that first sale?
Like couple of days, like solid, like knocking like so many doors.
Oh, wow, like a couple of days of actually doing like a 9 to 5 knock.
Yeah, it was 9 to 5 or even longer sometimes. It was gruesome, but that got me outside my comfort zone. I was able to talk to strangers. I was able to not let rejection be personal at that point, because when people close the door or people like ignore you, it just because they just don't want to interact with you, and because it's not because you're a bad person or anything. It's just because they just don't want to interact with you.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So, and you're also intruding their kind of like your personal space. So, so you got to be respectful with that, but you learn a lot of good skills. Like you have to be resilient. You have to it's a numbers game. You have to keep pushing it out, and you need to know how to sell. Otherwise, you're not making it. And I was like, because there's some of the people in that team who was really good at it. They were like making good money. They were a couple grand a day just making. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. But the thing is, these people.
Are we doing the same job?
Yeah, I was like, God damn. But they're just really good at it, and because they really honed in that skill, but I can't do what they do. So I only survived for a couple months, and then that's how I got into the jewelry business, because I was able to carry that skill set, personable enthusiasm, and then carry it into that jewelry place, and that manager really liked me from the get-go, and then she gave me the opportunity. At first, I was not going to hand in my resume to that jewelry store, because I walked past like, I pictured myself working there, and I was like, screw it, what's the chances? And then she hired me, and I was working there for a couple of years, and then
that's been a long time, couple of years, through a good portion of uni.
Yeah, good portion, because it's right across from my house, and
convenience.
it's really convenient, and I like the fact it was in the aircon, so
Yeah,
and you don't have to be in
AC.
the sun, so you don't have to sweat. So that was a bonus for me. So
Yeah, that is so true.
yeah.
And it's like a completely different vibe because the customers come to you rather
Yeah.
than you go to them, so you're not necessarily like intruding their personal space.
Yeah, it was so much easier to just engage people, and people were just like, oh, it's okay. I was like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna do my own thing. If you need any help, just like
Yeah, that's so nice.
Instead of like having to like pestering people.
Yeah.
Like, if you need, I got this. Like, oh, do you want to buy it?
Yeah. So good. Well, the audience is also dying to hear what your sales pitch is. So if we were to reenact
Oh
it,
my god, I have no idea.
knock knock, and then I open the door and I'm like, sup, hello, you are.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't even know what. I think I back then I just don't have a my own voice.
Yeah.
So I tend to be very robotic when I do it. Yeah, it was not good. That's why I
My
don't
name
want
is Ken. Do you want to buy car product or not?
It was more so like I was too high pitched and enthusiastic. So like, why are you so excited about it? It's like people, oh okay.
Yeah,
But some
good.
people like, and I start to learn. You just have to be like a bit more approachable. Like, ask them like, hey, how's your day going? Like, and then you just try to like be more hands on. Like, okay, I'm just in a neighborhood. And I just
like be more human.
yeah,
right?
just be more human, and then actually you start asking these questions like, okay, like do you tend to have a lot of issues with your car or stuff like that? And then,
woohoo! It's coming out.
yeah, so and then like I just happen to have this like really awesome product, like it's like 1 year package service package for a really good price, like
Ooh.
and yeah, and most people are like, oh, I just don't have cash or like, but yeah. It was not hard for me, but I learned a lot from that. So that's all I could say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then tell me how long you worked at the jewelry store.
For a long time, because I was balancing that between the cafe. So.
Oh wow! So you did 2 jobs and uni.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, probably for a good while before, definitely I went on exchange, so did it for a bit, and then the manager, she was really patient with me because I was being transparent with her about like my commitments for uni and stuff. So it's like I was only working 1 or 2 days there anyway, so so it was pretty easy.
Yeah, wow, nice. And then tell me about exchange, Copenhagen. Let's go.
Yeah.
So why Copenhagen?
I was trying to find the furthest place from Australia because I haven't done an international trip since I was 7, and that was back to China. In grade 7, so yeah. And because I was growing up, I never had many opportunities to travel as much, and I wanted to visit somewhere I wasn't very familiar with. US, you kind of get a sense of idea through media.
Yeah.
Asia, I'm quite familiar just because like I had that background from being from China and that community. So Europe was the next best option where it will be definitely outside my comfort zone. I have no idea what to expect. So, and I was exploring whatever uni that was available surrounding Europe. So I was looking at universities at UK, Germany, even Italy, and then it just happens that my units, because you have to get your units approved, so the units approved. So Copenhagen, that particular uni, just happens to align, and it seems like a great city, and it was the furthest thing away from Australia. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And because it's like in Europe, it's really a good opportunity to just now flight. You'll be a whole different country, whole different culture, whole different language. So that really appealed to me. That's why I jumped over there, and I heard a lot of good stories about Copenhagen or Denmark in general. So I made that leap. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And did it change you as a person? What kind of stuff did you learn? What kind of stuff did you see? For someone who's like never been to Copenhagen, how's that experience?
It was good. I think for the first time I kind of lived. So because I was always working, I was always like busy, and then moving to or living or studying in Copenhagen, it was an opportunity for me to not have any other responsibilities. I was just study, meet friends, just travel. So in the beginning, I was able to meet a lot of cool people there, explore. I really like riding a bike there as well, and everything was so picturesque. And I was able to travel to Norway, see snow for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like making up for all those lack of
It did. And went to Germany for a bit, and then I think that was it. And then suddenly, boom, COVID happened, and then lockdown. And then most people from exchange, majority of them left.
Yeah.
But I was like, I worked way too damn hard for this.
Yeah.
I saved off. For it, unless someone's dragging me out, I'm staying here. So I stayed put, and then a couple of friends that I knew stayed there as well. So we still had a great time. We still kind of did stuff like party or like hangouts and chill, or like little bike rides in there. So yeah, we still had a great time, even though everything was just closed.
Yeah. Damn. And were you a little bit scared at the time, you know, being in a foreign place and like there's like crazy stuff happening in the world? Like, was there that fear element? But I know you definitely had friends with you, so that makes the experience so much more better.
Yeah. I think I wasn't afraid. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't sure why, but yeah. Maybe,
just haven't lived before.
Yeah, maybe I was already like just dead inside.
Yeah.
So. No, I think because I saved up quite a bit for the trip, so I think financially, knowing that I have I could cover myself, that gave me a lot of security. I wasn't relying on my parents, so whatever I did, it was up to my own choice, and I really liked that. So, and then I knew that if anything happens, I'll be okay. And it's good that I have a family. And if everything like really constantly.
Back up to a backup.
Back up to backup. So, I knew like just have to be patient. Just like everything happens, just adapt and just figure it out as you go. So. No, I was actually pretty calm. I was just like panicking, and then I was I remember like the night the lockdown happened, I was actually at uni doing my assignment because I was procrastinating, and I was at the uni at 2 a.m. and apparently the whole city was in lockdown. I didn't realize, and then and the uni was supposed to be 24 hours, and then all the students left, and I was the only one, and I was like, oh, where's everyone go? And I realized they locked the entire library, so I was actually locked inside the uni library. At 3 a.m. and then I was like, holy crap, I'm actually, because you can't actually even exit from it because they actually and so I was just waiting around, and the security guy just happens to walk past like, what the heck are you doing still in here? I was like, I don't know. I was like, can you please hold on? And he opened it. I left, and like I realized that everyone was just like panicking.
That's so crazy. It was kind of like you were in your own world doing your assignment, and like
I wasn't even doing my assignment. I was
even worse. Still procrastinating.
Yeah. So.
But oh, that's cool. Also, really fun experiences. Yeah.
Definitely was. Even though it was a really expensive trip, still worth it. I would say, especially for someone like me who's very frugal in a sense.
I can relate.
Yeah. So for me to justify that, because I know like experiences like these kind of experiences come once in a lifetime, and for money, there's always opportunity to earn it back. As long as I'm smart with it, it shouldn't be a worry. So that's why I want to make sure to travel while I'm young as well, but also able to set myself up financially for the future. So
yeah, it's pretty good, balancing almost the short term and the long term. Pleasure with the long term savings.
It is hard to fine tune it because sometimes I'm too frugal in a sense. My partner Nat, she says like I'm too frugal, too cheap to even do basic stuff. So I don't know.
But I think I'm pretty frugal, but it's like if I want something and I really want it, I'll pay any price. But then like if I'm like, like, you know, it's meh, it's okay, I'm not paying for it.
Yeah,
So
I'll drag out that purchase as long as possible.
Yeah,
So my car is breaking down right now, and I was like, oh, it still runs. So.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, fair enough. Cool. Tell me about Kpmg Tech Advisory. What is Tech Advisory in your opinion?
Tech Advisory, I think it's definitely very broad. Even the name itself, Tech Advisory.
Yeah,
like
it is.
Technology spans from so many different service lines. But I would say Tech Advisory is more about the high level management of different business, and yeah, it's really hard to distill down to what it is because there's too many. It's a broad service line. So you have like IT strategy, you have operating model, you have enterprise architecture, you have IT deals, and all these like are different disciplines that require a long time to master.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a personal interest in IT strategy. I really do enjoy working strategy. But the thing is, the problem with that is because I don't have any experience working in industry or working with technology.
Yeah.
So for a junior like myself to go in and like start working with advisory clients, because you get exposed to very senior executives at different companies or organizations you work with. So the previous job it was with a city council, and you tend to engage with like the group managers, the CIOs, and normally you don't really get exposure to. So but the thing is, I felt like a bit of an imposter. Like
yeah, for sure. When you're talking to the CIO and you just graduated uni, and like, hey, let me tell you how to run the business.
Well, I wasn't
directly,
but it was more so facilitating the workshops. But the thing is, I like it because in the day, like you're just trying to gather information from the different stakeholders. What is it that you want, and we will analyze that information and distill it back to you. So I like that piece of work, and that's why I wanted to do BA work back then.
Yeah, you like the analysis component, yeah?
I like the
Kind of like your brother, no?
not the nitty gritty. I like the big picture, macro analysis, where things are heading, and that's why I do enjoy like the organizational perspective, how like things fit in, how it changes, and that's how I approach in my kind of like in my investing as well. I tend to look at a macro perspective because some people when they invest, they look at the technical, like the final numbers, like the cash flows, and I was like, I was just looking at where the trends are heading towards, and so I'm definitely a macro kind of guy. So.
Yeah, sounds good. And tell me more about that new role you're transitioning to and what you're excited about.
So the new role is with the cloud enterprise team, and this is an opportunity for me to develop a skill sets for a very in-demand skill at the moment, because cloud
so hot right now.
it just makes sense to move a lot of your systems, or even some of it, to cloud. Most of the time when you're using a lot of applications, most of it is on the cloud. You just didn't realize it, and it's very seamless. But it doesn't make sense to have some places to run on-premise systems, have their own service, and to manage it themselves. It just costs more money. Just a lot of hassles, and I do recognize it. Even like a government organization, they're transitioning a lot of their services to cloud, and when you recognize even government, who takes a long duration to make changes, are transitioning, you kind of recognize like, okay, even government's doing how many more like businesses are going to do the same. And the thing is, even though you move to cloud, it's not simply like a lift and shift. There's a lot of governance involved. There's a lot of like maintenance, risk management, because once you put your data to, let's say, public cloud like Amazon, Microsoft Azure, all these platforms, yes, they manage their back end, but you still have to manage your own data and how you govern that. So there's a lot of work involved, and there's a lot of opportunities in this space, and I want to develop that capability so I can eventually be known, hopefully be very proficient at it, or so-called expert. because with TA there's so many different service lines and
It's pretty hard to stand out and make your mark.
yes, that, and also because like you don't know where the next job is going to come in. So for me, let's say I really want to do IT strategy, but then there's no job in that. So but there's operating model or there's deals, but or even risk tech risk work, which I spend.
Welcome to tech risk.
Yeah.
Internal audit.
It's still good, but the thing is you don't know where next role or work is going to come from, and I was in a position where it was just a lot of I just didn't know where I was getting placed, and the work I've done on previous engagement doesn't actually follow through or build upon on my next engagement, and it was kind of frustrating in a sense because I knew that I wanted to develop my capabilities in a certain area, but it wasn't happening, and I just wanted to develop that technical capability as well, because for me it's hard for me to give advice to someone when I actually haven't done the work itself. And that's where hopefully this kind of new role gives me an opportunity to be more strategic, but also get hands-on, know how things work, and so I can actually have a more full picture, bigger picture of how these kind of organizations work, and maybe eventually, give better advices, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And was there any sort of like hesitation to leave behind the KPMG big brand? Because you know they're like, whoa, KPMG! Oh, you're going to like a smaller, maybe like not as well known company. Is there any of like that? Oh, you know that not wanting to detach kind of feeling?
No, I don't think I have that.
Good stuff.
Yeah, because it was funny enough when I was talking to my partner, like we were applying to these like big companies, and I was like, oh, I don't see myself working for like a big organization. Eventually there was too many moving parts, and I think if you want to be influential, like want to make change, like it's hard in these big companies. But I got an opportunity to be part of KPMG, and I got in. I was like, okay, let's see what's about, and it was a lot better than I expected. Like the culture, the people, it was not like maybe different teams, because a lot the organization structured in small teams, and that's why it doesn't feel, when you're inside, it doesn't feel like a massive organization and you're just a small part of it. You're just part of like a small team within a massive organization. So but I have no brand loyalty, I would say, because KPMG itself is just a brand, but it's all about people that you work with, and that was hard transitioning, because there was a lot of peers and colleagues that I do respect, and there was so much to learn from. But it was more so the type of work I want to do, and where I want to develop myself in terms of from a career perspective. So I don't think I was very attached to the name. That it didn't give me much meaning as such. It was more the type of work and people I work with that was more focused on.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're nearly at the end of the podcast, so we just got a couple more finishing up questions. So Kin, what do you think the meaning of life is?
Oh wow, that's a really good question. I think it's hard. I think the meaning of life, it just comes down to what you find meaningful. So I think it's up to everyone's interpretation of what they find fulfillment in. Because what I find meaningful and what someone else finds meaningful is completely different. And I think in the grand scheme of things, maybe it's a bit pessimistic. There's no real actual meaning, but it's just what you make of it that truly matters. So I think developing deeper connections, enjoying a fulfilling life, pursuing goals that aligns with your interests, and just be, I think, present as well in the day-to-day life, because when we tend to chase the goal and journey, and I'm guilty of it as well. I'm still learning.
Everyone is.
That you're so fixated on the pursuit of this item that you kind of neglect the journey to get there. So by the time you get there, it's like maybe it's a impressive promotion, or like impressive like title, or maybe it's some bucket list. Like
Yeah.
you're so fixated to get to that point, you can't forget about the journey, and typically life is the journey.
Yeah.
Like that little end point, just a small snippet of it.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy the journey, then I don't think you are living a very fulfilling life, unless that item really gives you like so much meaning. But I think it's all about balance at the end of the day. For me, it's about balance. I want to be career driven, but also I want to have time for friends and family, and being travel and my own interests and hobbies. So I think, yeah, that's why, like, for me, I want to be able to set myself up financially where I don't have to focus on career as if I don't want to. If I want to be there for my family, that's an option as well. So
freedom and choice.
yeah, freedom, choice, and when you get to decide where you want to go, you don't tend to regret any of your choices, because if you get forced in a certain direction and it's outside your control, you tend to you get to be very resentful. But if you chose to go to this direction, you chose to be at that job, you chose to stay there.
Yeah.
You got no one really to blame other than yourself if you don't have your position. So I think it's what I would say is what you make of it, and living life
to the fullest.
To the fullest, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, Ken, if you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you do about your life differently?
Oh, lottery. Invest it.
Wow.
And then grow it, and then from that, use that earnings to travel.
Live off the interest, he says.
Yeah, live off the interest, and then probably help my family out, help my friends out, and just enjoy life. And then see where my interest lies as well in terms of my own personal pursuits.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Mm.
And so, Ken, what is an ideal day in the life for you? It can be like work, it can be personal.
Oh, ideal day in life?
Yeah, what time do you wake up? What do you do?
Probably wake up with my partner, and probably a bit later, like 9, 10, sleep in, and then probably drag yourself out of bed and probably just go for a walk, or like just eat a nice food, and then just something chill. Maybe have a little workout, and then come home, watch a movie, eat more food, and just chill with friends and family. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. I hope you do that on the weekend.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of catching up with friends this coming days. So yeah, trying to keep for that.
Sounds good. So we're pretty much at the end of the podcast. Do you want to wave bye?
Oh.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks for having me.